Now, when it comes to the Iran war, there's been pretty much a stalemate for a very, very, very long time. Now, in this clip, we're going to see Professor Morandi on Piers Morgan once again, regardless of the fact that they always clash when it is that they get together. But in this clip, Professor Morandi just perfectly lays out the reason as to why Donald Trump and the US cannot and will not win this war. As usual, let's watch the clip in full. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts towards the end. Let's get into it.
Returning now to Uncensored is Mohammed Marandi, professor at Tehran University, who only has a few minutes, but wanted to have his say on today's developments. Welcome back to you, Professor. You posted today in reply to Donald Trump saying that both sides are locking in an immediate ceasefire and peace is nearly upon us. There will be no agreement until Trump accepts and implements Iran's conditions. There will be no compromise. The Islamic Republic can wait until the Trump economy crumbles. So very uncompromising response there from you. Does there not need to be a deal that suits all parties?
Sure, but we almost had a deal. I think everyone knows the details of the deal. And the Trump negotiators and their messages that they send back and forth with the Iranian negotiators, they've basically accepted the framework. There's some small details that they have differences over, but then every few days, Trump goes out and says, I won't do this and I won't do that. I won't hand over Iranians assets. These are all among the things that they negotiated. And if he thinks that now he can suddenly strong arm the Iranians and the Iranians are going to appease him or they're going to submit to his excessive demands, well, he's not going to get anywhere, and the global economy is going to move closer and closer to crisis.
You said that Iran has the upper hand. What do you base that on?
Well, I think we've seen yesterday and today in the last couple of weeks, the last two times that the Americans carried out an assault on Iran over the last couple of weeks. And this is one of the extraordinary things that prevents any sort of ceasefire and agreement, because the United States keeps attacking Iran. But the last two times, the Iranian response was been very heavy-handed over the past 10 days or so. And then yesterday we saw what Iran, and this morning we saw what Iran did to the Israeli regime. They said themselves that they want to flatten Beirut. And of course, in the West, no one cares about the people of Beirut. So the Iranians had to step in. They thought Iran was bluffing, and Iran wasn't. And not only did Iran hit back, it hit back very hard. So obviously it has the upper hand. But also when it comes to morality, Piers, they're carrying out genocide in Gaza. Just today, they've been killing more kids. In the West Bank, they murdered a 7-month-old child. And in Beirut, they're killing kids every day. So the Iranians want this to stop, and the Americans are insisting that, no, let's exclude Lebanon and Gaza from the ceasefire. And Iran says, no, Gaza and Lebanon are both a part of the ceasefire.
And if Donald Trump, as he's been repeatedly saying, has now put the nuclear aspirations and capability that Iran may or may not have as the sort of axis of victory here in terms of sorting this out, is there any scenario that you can see where Iran would voluntarily hand over its enriched uranium?
Iran is not going to hand over anything to the Americans. But the Iranians have already had a deal in 2015, the JCPOA. And in that deal, Iran gave lots of concessions. But Iran is not going to give up its nuclear program. Iran is not going to give up its sovereignty. Iran was negotiating with the Trump regime before it carried out the first war, the 12-day war with the Israelis, we're on the verge, we're close to its anniversary. And then we were negotiating again with the Trump regime when they launched this massive war against Iran, where they lost, where they failed. So for Iran, negotiating the nuclear program or elements of the nuclear program in a way in which it eases any fears that may truly exist is not a problem, as long as Iran's sovereignty and its right to have a peaceful nuclear program and enrichment is preserved. But the United States wants to take away Iran's rights as a sovereign country. And the revolution was about sovereignty, independence, dignity, and it's not going to happen.
The Iranian people are clearly suffering through all this. Iran is clearly suffering economically through all of this, as indeed are many other countries as a result of the war. How long can Iran sustain the economic fallout from this war?
Piers, this is an existential threat that the United States has imposed upon the Iranian people. For us, this is a war of survival. We have to win this war. And therefore, we will win the siege, no matter how difficult it becomes. We don't have any crazy or excessive demands. They carried out aggression against us, killed thousands of our people, bombed our infrastructure. And our demands, anyone who looks at the Iranian demands, they'll say that they're reasonable. So if the United States wants to continue this siege warfare, I promise you, the global economy will go downhill fast. It will go into recession and then a depression. That's not what Iran wants, but Iran is not going to allow the United States to strangle it.
Professor Morandi, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So it's actually good, the fact that it is that they didn't get into a full-blown rumble as they usually do when Professor Morandi comes on Piers Morgan. But there's just a few things that I want to speak about in regards to what it is that Professor Morandi had to say. First and foremost, I think it's really interesting that the entire world has sat back for the past couple of years and watched Israel commit a full-blown genocide within Gaza. And the people who are saying that it's the terrorist state of Iran, these are the only people that are putting concessions in place to try and protect the people of Gaza. I just think that was really quite interesting. And I think it speaks volumes about what it is that we hear when we're listening to the news, the mainstream media over here in the West. Now, the last thing that it is that I'll say on this, and what I just overwhelmingly think of this entire conflict, this entire thing has took place and has happened as a result of one man's ego, and that's Donald J. Trump. You heard Professor Morandi say himself that Iran made multiple concessions in 2015 and they were abiding by the JCPOA. You heard Professor Morandi say it himself. And the reality is, Donald Trump and MAGA and Republicans will have you believe that that wasn't the case. They will have you believe that the JCPOA was a bad deal because of the fact that it is that they unfroze some of Iran's money and they sent it over to them. But the reality is this: it curbed the very thing that so many people that are on the right, as well as some people on the left, have been saying for a very long time. Iran cannot and will not have a nuclear weapon. And as a result of the JCPOA, that was in place and it was working. The problem became when Donald Trump stepped in, tore up the JCPOA. It was only after that that Iran then started to enrich the uranium and get themselves closer to a nuclear weapon. And Donald Trump was hoodwinked into this war by Benjamin Netanyahu, and as a result, not only has he ruined his presidency, he continues to ruin his country's economy, he continues to ruin the faith and the goodwill that it is that his base has with him, but more importantly, he's ruining the world economy. And if something is not done soon, it's only going to get worse for Donald Trump and his legacy. And more importantly, for his ego. Benjamin Netanyahu hoodwinked him into this war. And now Benjamin Netanyahu repeatedly doesn't listen to what it is that Donald Trump says. And as a result, he continuously puts the ceasefire and the deal that's in place in jeopardy. Well done, Donald Trump. Great job. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section in regards to this clip. See you guys in the next one.